Air.
Your reward. One step closer to mastering Valhalla. I'd like to tell you a story that I think will help you along your path.
Go ahead.
Early in my life, before I was a Valkyrie, I was a healer in a small village. My father trained me in the use of herbs and natural remedies. To him, coming from a long line of herbal healers, that was the only true medicine. But visiting the city, I saw healers who used magic. Only magic, to treat their patients. I'd seen it work. And work wonders. I tried to tell my father, but he said mage healing was against his philosophy. A dangerous shortcut that violated tradition. Being a good daughter, I respected his convictions. But that all changed when he took ill. That's a good place to stop for now. When you're further along on your journey, I'll share the next part of my story.
You may speak.
If you remember, my father had fallen ill. It was bad. An illness unknown to us. I offered to fetch the mage healer from the city, but my father refused. He insisted herbs were the only way to help him. You can guess what happened next. He was gone before the spring. I was devastated. In time, I grew to hate my father's philosophy and dedicated myself to healing through magic. It was a blind rejection of an entire field, because I believed it failed my father, because I blamed his death on his faith. The truth is, I traded one limiting perspective for another, but I wasn't ready to see that yet. That's a good place to stop for now.
Proceed.
If you remember, I had shunned my father's herbal medicine after it failed to save him. I left my village and moved to the city. I scraped and scrounged, managed to survive, and became an apprentice to a renowned mage healer. I soaked up everything I could from her, and I was a natural, it turns out. Shedding my father's legacy came easy. In fact, I'd acquired quite the distaste for it. I cut herbal medicine out of my life completely. It was this rigidness that would prove the biggest mistake of my life. But I'll stop there for now.
Proceed.
Last thing I told you was that I'd become an apprentice to a mage healer of renown. I learned much from her, not just about the healing arts, but about how to live a complete life, a whole life, true to yourself. She was like a mother to me, which made it all the more painful when she too fell ill. It was the same illness that had taken my father. But this time would be different. It was my chance to apply everything she taught me to try and save her. Anyway, I think that's a good place to pause my story.
I am listening.
If you'll remember, my teacher had fallen ill. Everything she taught me, I poured into trying to save her. But it turned out mage healing wasn't enough. I realized that only a combination of mage healing and herbal traditions could save her. But I'd let my knowledge of the herbal arts fade away. And so, I failed her like I failed him. And she passed into Hell's embrace. It took a long time to get over that. Anyway, I'll stop here for now.
Continue.
As you recall, I failed my teacher and wasn't able to save her life. I'd let my aversion to my father's traditions stop me from being able to adapt to circumstances. After that, I spent many winters reconstructing his teachings, integrating them into my arsenal. I realized how important it was for me to practice techniques that don't come easy to me, or even ones I have every reason to hate and reject. Because then I'm armed for everything. Then I can adapt to whatever life throws at me. Anyway, that's my story.
Thank you, Air. I understand.
You must strike a balance between discipline and creativity.
Shield Maiden.
Good. To become a more total warrior. Imagine it. I hear you like stories. I got one for you.
Gunnr.
This boon is yours. Patience, persistence. The path is no secret, but so few dare to walk it. I hear you like stories. I got one for you.
Proceed.
I wasn't born with the privilege of some of my sisters in arms. I wasn't bred for greatness. I was just the daughter of some poor innkeeper. Matter of fact, I wasn't even his. He just raised me after somebody left me there. I didn't have much going for me, but I had one thing. I wasn't afraid of anyone. If somebody was asking for a punch in the face, I never thought twice. Brought a heap of trouble on myself that way, it's true. But I sure learned how to fight. Enough for now. I'll pick that up later.
I am listening.
So, there I was, Little Miss Brawl Magnet. If I wasn't starting the fight, I was the first one charging in to join it. Maybe it's something in the Asgard water, but it seemed like there was always a fight to be had. I guess I needed the rush, something to keep me sharp, feeling alive. I was driven without fear or frankly much sense to hold me back. Got myself a bit of a reputation, and that ended up being a problem. This notorious bully I'd humiliated held on to a grudge and tried to track me down. Found out way too easily who I was and where I lived. Set out to teach me a lesson. We'll pick it up there when you progress further.
Go on.
So, the bully with a grudge. He comes to the inn in the dead of night, chucks a bottle of fire through the window, sets the whole place ablaze. The coward thought I was inside in bed, but luckily I was just getting home. I saw the flames shoot up and surround where my father was sleeping. Well, this wasn't going to be the day I started hesitating. I charged into the fire and dragged him out. Not unscathed exactly, either of us, but alive. And if I was too angry and fearless for my own good before, now, well, I charged right into that bastard's lair, me against his whole gang. Honestly, I had no business coming out of that alive. As it turned out, I came out of there with a job. But we'll get to that next time.
I am listening.
I was in the fight of my life with the thugs who burned down my father's inn. Suddenly there's this sound, this flapping of feathers, and who should appear but Sigrun herself. Not yet queen, but by reputation, the best fighter the Valkyries had in memory. I was awestruck. She was confused. The violence, the mayhem she sensed, she expected to follow it to a battlefield full of honored dead, not a hideout in the slums. I apologized to her for not sending worthier souls to Valhalla, and Sigrun offered to take me under her very impressive wing. But we'll cover that part next time, all right? Shall I continue my story?
I am listening.
Sigrun, mightiest of the Valkyries, saw me in action and thought I had potential. Wanted to train me in the ways of the sisterhood. But I wasn't so sure. A knack for violence is one thing, but serving a higher cause, taking on the responsibility of choosing the slain, me, Gunnr of Blackheart Alley? For once, I hesitated. I couldn't make myself believe it. But Sigrun told me to put everything out of my mind but the work. Mastering each new skill. Discovering what I was truly capable of through discipline and focus. Letting excellence be its own reward really opened my eyes. But we'll wrap it up next time, okay? How about we finish up my story?
I will hear.
Last time I was telling you how Sigrun helped me harness my anger and hone my skills. Training with her and my other future sisters, I never felt so challenged. Never felt such belonging. But part of me still couldn't believe I deserved to be there. All that community and purpose and meaning could be mine. If only I could master the one enemy I was afraid to face.
Yourself.
Damn right. I had to stop telling myself the story of all I could never be because of where I came from. When I focused instead on my intentions and my preparation, that's when I truly mastered myself. But I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And it's not as though there weren't more trials ahead, more to overcome and master. My point is, I get why you're doing this, and I truly wish you luck.
Thank you, Gunnr.
Take pride in your progress.
Sigrun, I wanted to tell you, Valhalla keeps sweeping me away to my own adventure in memory.
I wondered if it would. That's wonderful. What is it showing you?
Some particular events of my wayward youth. But they're in a loop of sorts. Not sure I've quite gleaned what it all amounts to.
Then you must do what you do in Valhalla. Keep going. Seems you're
Sigrun, what's this about Valhalla questioning your loyalty? I thought everything was all right.
It is. For you are alive, and I am no longer in pain. But my transgression was not without consequences. Valhalla has penalized me. I could not enter now if I wanted to. In fact, I am not sure if it will welcome me in death.
What? That can't be right. No one's more worthy of Valhalla than you. You can't have sacrificed that for my sake. It's not fair.
There's no blame to place here. When you do what you know is right in your heart, the results are not always what you hoped for. That doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. Now please, we've kept Kratos long enough from his journey. I insist. Go. We'll talk more. You made much better progress that time.
I must admit, Sigrun, Valhalla isn't exactly what I imagined.
You're experiencing only a very small part of it. One that's independent and unconnected from the rest of Valhalla. Elsewhere, there are larger neighborhoods where the dead reside. Socializing, playing games, drinking, fighting. But one must earn the right to join their fallen comrades. New arrivals run a gauntlet. A personalized, self-contained version of what you're doing. It's meant to help the dead process the lives they lived. Those who are worthy, who have found some measure of closure, are allowed to move forward. Those who are unable to resolve their lives are forever trapped in their personal Valhalla. Some just prefer to keep fighting here.
Where could Sigrun be? I was hoping we'd talk further. Still no Sigrun. You don't suppose she's avoiding me?
No.